Hello friends, welcome to another episode of the Rifle Tree YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk briefly about my field kit, why I've got it arranged and ordered the way I do. There have been a number of questions or private messages asking me to explain it, and so I'll do that right now. This arrangement is based on modularity, based on a day kit, a 2-day kit, and then a 5-day kit. And essentially, the only difference between the different kit designs is the amount of space you got to keep food. Because I'm going to be out there longer, so you need to sustain yourself for that amount of period of time. But essentially, the equipment doesn't change. We're going to talk about the day kit versus the 3-day kit. We're not going to get into the 5-day kit because it's essentially all you're doing is adding a little bit more food. So we'll just go into the 1 and 3-day kits. If you want to hear more, stay tuned. Okay, first of all, the design of this modular kit that I've got is usually combined with a rifle because I work in some of the biggest black bear and grizzly bear populations in the world. That's where I live, and so when I'm out in the bush, my system is arranged to be equipped with a self-defense mechanism. You'll also see I have bear spray on my belt order here as well. This design is based on a pack sack, which basically is just storage space, okay, and a belt order, as you can see here. The belt order is essentially my 1-day kit, and to build that out, to broaden that out to a 3-day kit, I throw on the pack sack. It's not a really terribly fancy pack sack, but it was fairly expensive. I think it's Cavalry. I'd have to double check that. It's got a tab in it. But it's been a fantastic pack sack, and I've carried it for many miles. Take the pack sack off and we'll start with the belt order. So on the belt order is where you have your working person's tools, okay? You want to be able to clip something onto your tool belt and carry on. You've got a couple of quick, oh, here's another one, quick clips on your belt. I've got an additional one for a climbing rope, which it's not part of this. But you'll see on the clip what I've got here, and these are pacing beads. If you're not sure what pacing means, it's a way for you to verify and measure distance fairly accurately out in the field without having any kind of GPS or hip chain way of actually determining how far you've traveled. It's a system called paces, which is essentially you count every single time your right foot hits the ground. Right, so your pace will change depending on the type of topography and vegetation that's growing on the area that you're walking across. For example, you'll pace differently if you're wearing snowshoes. Right, you got to know how many paces it takes you to get 100 meters or 100 yards, however way you prefer to measure it, versus walking in a forest where you're having to step over stuff and duck under stuff and stuff like that. So I mean, your pacing will adjust depending on the terrain that you're walking on. And pacing beads are just a way of keeping track of your counting. Okay, every 100 meters you'll throw one bead up, all the way up to 10. Once you get to 10, you can drop the kilometer pace down. Okay, right? It's just another way of keeping track of where you are, and it works quite well. Pacing beads, and it doesn't weigh anything. And it is important for navigation for you to know how far you've traveled. And this whole system is kind of devised around fieldcraft, bushcraft. I'm going to walk 10 kilometers that way. There are no roads. Right? I'm going to navigate. This is the science of navigation. So you need to have your tools at the ready, essentially, in order for you to be able to do that. That's why this pouch is near the front. In this pouch I have an MC1 mil compass, and when I'm out actively navigating, I'll remove it from this pouch and I'll put it around my neck, stuff it inside my jacket, because I don't want it flopping around or banging or getting broken. So it stays put, it's not flapping around. So I take that out and I have it as close to be on the ready, because I'm using it constantly. I'm using the compass constantly when I'm actively navigating. Second item that's in here is, I'll show it to you. And incidentally, you'll see here I've got strings on everything. Okay, and once you lose it in the snow, it's gone forever, right? Unless you can hunt it down. So everything gets tied onto your person. Okay, this would normally come off and be wrapped around my neck. But here I have the Solo RT by Vortex, the 8x36 optical magnification monocular, and it is fantastic. It is fantastic. It's also got a range-finding reticle on it, and it doesn't take any space up in your kit. Okay, so you have stuff like that at the ready, because if you're sticking it in a pack sack and burying it, and you're not actually navigating. If you don't have your compass around your neck, you can just check your bearing every once in a while. If it's in your backpack, it means you're not navigating. Okay, also on the other side of the belt order here is another security device. Again, because I live in the highest population area for black bears, grizzly bears in the world, I have another defense mechanism here, which is a canister of bear spray. Again, it's another one of those devices that you really should be training in order to use, so you understand how it works, when to use it, and how bloody close you need to wait till that animal is before you pull the trigger. Anyway, there's a whole science around the use of bear spray. I'm not going to get into that, but it's there if I need it. Water bottle. When you're out in the bush and you're navigating, or you're doing bushcraft stuff, generally it means that you're respirating hard, you're working hard, you're hiking. You got so much work you got to get done that day, or whatever it is you're doing out in the bush, maybe just trying to get from point A to point B. But if you don't keep yourself hydrated, you might as well just go home. You're going to dehydrate, you're going to lose energy, you're not going to be able to maintain yourself. So you're constantly rehydrating when you're actually strenuous exercise out in the woods. You have to be able to rehydrate yourself. You also have to train yourself to take advantage of water sources that are trustworthy. Okay, a mountain passes really steepened-sized valleys. That's where I live, and there's like water sources almost everywhere. But you got to be able to choose the ones that are safe. What you suspect are going to be free from giardia, cryptosporidium, another kind of other waterborne illnesses that you can get, which can devastate you. Okay, one of the reasons why the British Army fought so well in the jungles of Burma and during World War II is because they learned water management. Right? An army will be killed by giardia. It will be unable to fight effectively, and you will be unable to navigate or survive or be efficient in the bush if you don't know how to manage water. The very last pouch on this belt is simply storage. And in here I have high energy granola bars. I have a pull through for whatever rifle I'm using. I have a 45 caliber one here. Here I also have fire starter. And it's basically a fibrous resin with impregnated wood into it. You cut pieces of this stuff off, you light it on fire, holds a flame even in really windy conditions. When it comes to being in the bush, if you need a fire, if you're building a fire, it's because you need a fire. It is because you're cold, you're wet, and you are literally at risk of dropping your core body temperature down to a point where you may not necessarily be thinking rationally anymore. So in the bush, if you are building a fire, it's because you feel you need to build a fire. And so when you're in that situation, I'm not going to be rubbing sticks together to try to get, doing the survivor man stuff. I need a fire now. There's no such thing as cheating when you're in the bush. You take what you need in order to be the most successful. There's also a lighter there as well. Here I have a little plastic bag with a tiny amount of electrical tape in it. This is stuff I always carry in the bush with me. If I'm going onto the bush, going for a walk, I strap this on. Why would I want electrical tape? Right? You never really ever know whether you're going to be able to walk out of the bush. Every single time you walk into the bush, you don't know if you're going to be able to come back. You don't always know. You can twist an ankle, you can break a shin bone. You get caught in a little mini avalanche, get bashed up. So electrical tape really makes for a good way of keeping wounds or cuts clean. You can use it to wrap around if you need. I don't carry any bandages, but I'm wearing a cotton t-shirt right now, so if I need to, there's my bandage. Right, just be able to strap it on. I always have a light. Nothing fancy. This one here is the MC3 Tactical Illuminator. It's small, lightweight, and it's rugged. And it puts out a lot of light. And backup gloves. Okay. And a tiny amount of paracord. This paracord is a little bit different. There's a metal stud on one end, and that'll tie into my knife system that I use, and there's a loop on the other end. Just because it's nice to be able to hang something from a branch if you need it, right? So there's that real quick. So that's the belt order, with the exception of what I was leading to before. This here is nothing special specifically. It's very, very wide. It's designed for hammering and beating on. It's designed to take punishment. It's not a fine-edged blade. I mean, you're not going to sit there and shave with this thing. This is a working knife, and I also have a stone in there that I'll use to rasp it up to keep it reasonably sharp. Okay, but this here is intended to act as a bit of a chopping implement and a cutting implement, right? I expect that if I'm going to be using this in the field, it's going to be used for chopping. Additionally, inside this sleeve here, there is a saw attachment, which you can attach to the other side here for sawing, and there's also another one for sewing, for needling, for using it as a needle. Again, this knife is nothing specifically special, but it's just another tool for the toolbox. Okay, that's essentially that. The actual design of the belt itself is essentially just your standard 2.5-inch web belt with a plastic clasp on the front. They do have a tendency to slip, so I will tie a knot with the slack that I have here. Okay, I will tie a knot there, and that'll help to stop it from slipping. But you will see that the belt has a pad built into it. This is for your comfort. Okay, this here is for your comfort. And it also helps to keep you warm. Now this will, if you're in t-shirt weather country, it'd be especially nice. You may get it sweaty every once in a while, you have to wash it. But this here is a tool belt, right? This is designed for you to have hammers on and, you know, big pouches made of leather with all kinds of tools hanging off of it. Okay, that's what this is. So this is a tool belt that is based around orientation in the bush. For bushcraft, fieldcraft, navigation, all that different kind of stuff, this is the tool belt for that purpose. And it's where you keep your tools. With some minor emergency stuff. I mean, I've even got a tiny little fishing kit in there. Which I should probably show you. Actually. Forgot. Yeah, again, I always have some backup ammunition. This is in a sealed bag just to keep it waterproof. Because we're all human beings, and sometimes we may make mistakes when we go out to the bush with our rifle and don't bring ammunition because we are too preoccupied trying to organize other things. I also have 303 stripper clip ammunition here, and I'll just take whatever I need out and leave what I want in for whatever application I'm using for that day. I got a lighter and a tiny little fishing kit because we got pretty much, if there's water bodies up here, there's fish in it. So it's one way to supplement your food supply of granola bars here. That means you're staying the night. I mean, I'm not pulling this stuff out just for have a good time. I'm pulling this stuff to use it because I'm spending the night there. And every once in a while, what you got to do is go out and test your system. This is something I've been doing for years and years and years. I know it works. I know what's going to work for me in the environment that I live in. So this is custom tailored to my needs. Yours might look a little bit different because your topography is going to be totally different. You could be in Saskatchewan, right? You're going to be in a totally different area than where I am, where it's always damp and cold. Okay, so that's the belt order. Let's moving on to the upper top here. Normally what I would also be wearing with this is a Helly Hansen light rain jacket over top because I live in coastal winter conditions where it's cold and damp. All right. Now, cold damp is different than dry damp, than dry cold. Damp cold versus dry cold. Dry cold is more towards the north and to the east, to the interior, and then you have this fringe of about 100 miles along the coast, which is always freezing, thawing, freezing, thawing, freezing, thawing, snow, rain, wind, freezing, rain. So this phenomenon of weather that we have here, it is cold, damp. And you need to treat it differently than you will cold, dry. Okay, so if it's cold, dry, I'm going to be wearing a winter parka over top of this. I'm not going to be wearing this rain jacket. Okay, and this whole system that I'm wearing here is designed to be in layers. So I'll have the outer shell here, which also makes for a great windbreak, keeps the rain off you. But you also need to be able to manage your heat. So I have the couch and sweater underneath here. I have, and I can take on or off and adjust as I need to, depending on the level of activity and exertion I'm putting myself through. Take layers on or off, okay, in order to adjust my core temperature. I don't want to get too hot. I don't want to start sweating if I can help it too much. Normally I would wear a polypropylene underwear. Today I wasn't going to think I was going to make in this video, but so I was just wearing a cotton shirt. But normally I would wear polypropylene underwear as my first layer. And then we have the light sweater. Then we have the down vest, and then the couch and sweater, and then this. Okay, so this here would be for me when I'm operating in really cold conditions, right? But on the coast here, you know, minus 20, minus 30, it's a damp minus 20, minus 30. I've had people from the interior coming in here. They're used to minus 40, minus 50. They come to the coast and they're always cold, and they can't figure out why. It's a different kind of cold, and they're rigged out for a different type of winter than the ones that we have here. Okay, so heat management, moisture management. Very important. Next thing is what's on your feet. So I'm a big believer in the Baffin Island boots. These here are seriously insulated. They're not really terribly good for long distance walking. However, in the wintertime, if you're standing on snowpack for long periods of time, could be on ice. It's not necessarily when you're in motion that your feet are going to get cold and frozen. It's when you're basically at rest or on, standing, right? So having a good thermal layer between your foot and the ground is really important. And these Baffin Island boots are exceedingly good for dry cold and for wet cold, because the entire boot, the upper and the lower, which is safety toed but not steel toed. It's safety toed but not steel toed. There's a difference. So the toes are not having heat drawn away from it from a cold steel cap. Okay, it's more of a ballistic kind of nylon or plastic, graphite or something. Anyway, but it's a safety toe. But the upper is all rubberized canvas. Okay, and the lower is a thick rubber. And the grips on it are amazing for gripping, nice soft rubber for gripping on ice. But so that's my, this here is my footwear of choice in the wintertime up here. Now I can't emphasize to you enough the importance of having wool pants. These here are 1950s vintage Swedish ski pants. And they're a very, very, very tight wool. The stitching on it is phenomenal. There is the pockets are kind of a heavy cotton, almost like kind of a canvas feel to it. Wool supports, buttons for your supports. This is, and the straps here are nothing special, but they originally came with. They all have parachute pockets on the sides. They originally came with kind of a canvas liner on the cuffs of the pants for hooking into your ski boots, but I removed all that because it wasn't really required for my needs, and I probably should sew a flangellary around the cuff so that the wool doesn't start to separate. But I've been running it like this for years and years and years. Sat around a lot of campfires in these pants, and they ride very, very high. Okay, so these are what I call a tall or a short bib pants. So the short bib pants means that the belt loop actually rides between your hips and the lower area of the rib cage. So between the hip and the rib cage, that's where these pants are going to be resting, almost around the mid belly area. Okay, and the reason for that is because The belt is not holding this thing up. It's the shoulder straps that are holding the pants up. Okay, I specifically like this because this works exceedingly well with the belt order. If you're going to be wearing a belt order, the belt order rides lower than the edge of the pants, and so you don't get any rub marks in that area. It works. It's absolutely brilliant system. These are great pants. Swedish Army wool ski pants. So this is my kind of thinking when I'm looking at wool pants, and the quality of the material is phenomenal. It really is. Here we have the our pack. Pack here is the Raid system, and you see it's covered in moly. I'm not particularly fond of the camo pattern for up here, but really I didn't buy it for the camo pattern. I bought it because it's a good pack. You'll see that the pack is covered in moly, and we have tension straps. I've got all the ties taped down because I hate a backpack that's covered in straps that are just flying in the wind. For a couple of things, you're not going to get snagged on anything. This is something less for anybody to grab onto, and frankly, when you're going through an airport with one of these rucksacks, you don't want things getting bound up or tied up in an escalator, so keep these things taped up. I have a quick access pouch, only one. I don't like a pack sack covered in these extra pouches, but a good sturdy pouch with extra mole on top if I need it. And that's that. On the extreme left, you will see, and this is generally I will actually have these two reversed. I'll have the hatchet on this side and my rope on this side, because this is the side I usually sling my rifle on. I don't like having the rifle touching the axe handle. But anyway, normally these are reversed. So I've got this on the left, not on the right, as you see it here. Sorry, I just slapped it together for the video. Because I'm working between packs right now. On the left, we have 20 meters of 8mm static line with a, I can't talk today, but I got the buckle on here, which is friggin', it's one of the better ones that you use for mountaineering. So if I need to pull you out of a hole or something to that effect, I've got at least some line that I can do that with. You know, it's not just for me, it's for helping other people, you know, doing search and rescue, using your equipment in cooperation with other people that you're actually out in the field working with. On the other side, I have a beautiful wetling axe. You've seen this probably in a number of other videos. I'm just a big fan of it. But because we are talking about high carbon steel, I do keep it spray painted and that's simply for rust management, because this is working gear. This stuff is always wet. And this is a fantastic axe. It keeps an amazing edge. Again, I've got a file just for keeping my tools sharp in the field. Tiny one, but it's all you need in order to get stuff done. If you're in trouble and you're spending the night, this here could be the difference between freezing to death and not. So having this equipment is one thing. Knowing how to use it and how to apply it in the field, that's entirely a separate matter. And that's not the purpose of this video. It's just to show you the kit that I use. So the inventory of skills and knowledge that you can apply to all of these different tools is what really will save you, not the fact that you have it. Okay, so again, the pack covered in tie downs, which is exceptionally good if you're going to tie this to the back of an ATV. You've got multiple tie down options in order to make sure this thing doesn't fly away and disappear on you. Now, generally I don't keep too many things in the pack, because we have fairly decent storage in here. We got a multiple inside pouches for storage. Again, I don't carry it if I don't need it. This is not the purpose. This is generally storage for food, bottle dressing. And if I need that, it means I'm in real trouble. Again, more storage here, which I'm not using. This here is a Ranger blanket. I need a better bag. I should have this in a waterproof bag, but this is what I have for now. So in here is a Ranger blanket. Because we are talking winter conditions, you wouldn't know by looking at the ground right now. But when it's minus 20 out and you're going to be spending the night, something small like this to supplement your comfort a little bit it takes up space but it doesn't weigh anything. If it gets wet, that's a different story. Here I have a Mountain Equipment Co-op tarp. It's impregnated silicone nylon tarp. It's essentially just to get you out of the wind and get you out of the rain. And so this is an enclosed shelter that I can work with myself. I know how to do it. I also carry a glow stick simply because morale, and it doesn't weigh anything. It doesn't take any space. Of course, your system is going to include something like this combat scarf. Really helps to make you visible. Rain pants are in the pack, and if I want to be visible, I've got this toque. Right? It's not made of wool. It's not going to get heavy. It's just going to keep you warm. The pack, in and of itself, is the original Light Fighter Raid Pack, part LF009, and it says the Light Fighter Raid Pack is the ultimate multi-purpose modular assault pack system. The Light Fighter Raid Pack is designed specifically for hard-use military service in a variety of combined arms roles: recon, assault, interdict, destroy. That is the Raid Pack. The Raid Pack. I've been running this here for going on 6, 7, 8 years. And it is worn, it is, but it is never frayed, it is never torn. It has a few burn holes in it from being around campfires. But you know what? It is just a good pack. And this, I have walked a lot of miles with this on my back. A lot of miles. Okay, moving along. In the quick access pack, got blade sharpener, waterproof paper, pencil and a Sharpie, flagging tape, spare battery, headlamp, dental floss, poly twine, because it's when it gets wet, it doesn't stretch. Of course, you've got to be able to take care of your biological needs. Backup flashlight, and a little bit of reading. This here is basically a handbook, survival skills, battle procedure, NATO orders format, you know, stuff you eventually memorize. But always good to refresh it if you got some downtime, keep your mind occupied. And of course, last but not least, what do they call that? A spork. For eating your rations and earplugs. For obvious reasons. Might be doing some shooting, right? But that's just how I rock and roll. If I'm out, I might be shooting. The rest of the space, it's actually lots of room in here. It's for food. It's for food. Okay. So that's essentially it, folks. Again, it's a... oops, tie that strap down. It's a system that I use that served me well for many, many years and continues to do so. More often than not, I'm finding that I use the components of my kit to help other people that maybe aren't at the level of preparation or readiness that I am. When out in working in these areas, you got to assume that you're going to be staying the night. I always do. And because it's happened to me. Sometimes that helicopter isn't able to make it back to get you, pull you out of a certain area. It could be that the weather's closed in, he can't see, he can't land in that frozen swamp to pick you up. That's a whole different story. But once you've been there, you've done that, you won't let it happen to you again. Again, the rule of thumb is it's better to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. And when I say need, suddenly it's very, very prevalent as to how much that piece of equipment would have helped you in a tricky situation. So, one day kit, I can spend a night out based on the very, very simple stuff that's in this belt order. 3-day, you know, just the addition of the pack with a little bit more extra tools and storage. You know, because you're going to be taking clothes off, storing in the pack, because you're you're respirating, you're sweating, you're breathing hard, you're working hard. You don't want to get too wet from sweat. If you can help it, you can adjust, be dynamic that way, but be mindful of that, right? When it's happening, recognize it in yourself, allow yourself the grace to stop and change, and do it. And hopefully that helped. Hopefully that answered your questions on how I've got my kit arranged, why I've got it arranged this way. It's also kind of got to do with weight distribution, keeping things that are heavy like water on your hips rather than on your back and in a pack. Again, you're trying to access it. These are your tools you need to access quickly. Stuff that's in your pack, it's a pain to get it off, dig in there and pull out what you need. So you want things to be available to you. Hope you're all doing well. It's Rifle Tree signing off. Cheers and Maple Leaf up.